because it has been going on for so long, but we have finally done it. And hopefully next Sunday, in fact, we were hoping to do it this Sunday, but my tech guy said, whoa, slow down here just a minute. We got to create something called, which I don't quite know exactly what that is, but it doesn't sound like we should have that in a Baptist church. But the hotspot. But what we have is our very own, well, we're working with another company who knows how to do this stuff, our very own giving app. You're going to be able to go on your phone, you're going to be able to download the app, you're going to be able to enter in the information, and once you're entered into that information, you're going to be able to do all sorts of stuff just electronically instead of having to remember your check down with cash or whatever that happens to be. In fact, theoretically, if we can get it all worked out, if you want to register for Women's Retreat, you'll be able to scroll down, click on Women's Retreat, and boom, you can take care of it even that way. So youth events, teammates, whatever that happens to be, once we get that, it's a company we feel very, very confident in. In fact, Village Baptist uses them, New Hope uses them. This is a company that is very, very secure. That was one of the things that we really took a lot of time. The tech guys took a lot of time to go through, but they figured it all out. They've put it together, and hopefully by next Sunday, that'll be up and running with a hotspot and whatever else it is that we've got to do. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll give you, and for you, if you say, this is way too technical. I mean, I'm barely figuring out how to make phone calls on my phone. We're actually going to have the tech guys sitting at a table where you can just hand them your phone and say, can you please help me? And they'll just set it all up. They'll do everything. And they can just work it all out for you. They'll do all the work for you. We're excited about being able to help you enter into the 1990s. We're excited about that. It's really Well, we also want to remind you that we have our Dollar of the Month missionaries. You'll notice in the pew that there are envelopes offering. We collect that at the end of the month, and then we turn that into missionaries that we already support, but we do this above and beyond just because we want to go out of our way to encourage them and let them truly know that it's just all about just the regular routine, but that we really do genuinely care about them. So many stories we've heard that it came at just the perfect time. The Lord really provided of just those small little dollars. Little things kind of all add up. We also want to remind you about the communication cards. Hey, you picked a good Sunday, because if you're like, I wonder what this whole Montavilla thing is about, today you're going to find out. You're going to find out, is this worth investing? Is this worth continuing to come to? This is the Sunday to be able normally, always like this, just to let you know. Normally, we have first service and second service, but we get together for this special Sunday. But we want to encourage you, fill out that communication card at the end of the service or even during the break. You can take it back to the coffee bar back there. Someone will get that from you. And then we have some more information about all the stuff that Montavilla does. We even have a gift because we're just thankful that you're here. In fact, why don't we take just a few minutes? Let's greet those around us at this time. think the Gospels answers for us. The Gospels tells us that there was a very, very large crowd that had come to hear Jesus, and he continued to teach them. And it became obvious that they needed some food. They needed lunch. And it looked as though Jesus might have been part of some very bad organizational planning. Jesus needed to go back and get some administrative reasons. But Jesus had a plan all along. He knew exactly what he was doing because he wanted to design this scenario because he wanted to teach a principle to his disciples. And the Gospels tell us a little boy with his little lunch, a drop in the bucket, not nearly enough to feed himself, but not enough to even touch the hunger a large crowd was found. And the twist came in this, that little boy handed what little he had to Jesus. And when you see that story through that little boy's eyes, he knows how much he gave to Jesus. And yet, as he's watching, he is literally seeing miracles take place all around him. He's aware of, okay, I know how much I brought, and everybody's eating my lunch. How was that happening? And for him, if he was embarrassed of that lunch before, he was no longer embarrassed with them anymore. Now, he had reason to celebrate. He had reason to be excited. And there are times where it feels like changing diapers or doing crafts, a little dollar here, a note of encouragement, just showing up. It doesn't feel like it's really all that much. It feels as though it's meager. But in the hands of our Lord, He can take what we've given Him and He can change lives in a way that are beyond our imaginations. It translates. What little we have translates. We wanted to take this morning to point out a few of those changed lives, a few of those stories. God's showing up, what God's doing, the fact that He's alive and He's active and He's here. So we're going to have a series of testimonies, a whole bunch of people that are going to come up and they're going to tell you, just to give you a small glimpse into what's been going on in their life. And the first one up is Josh Emick.
Is this on? All right, sweet. So I'd like to share a little bit with you guys today where I'm at in my relationship with God and what He's been showing me and teaching me. Kind of the biggest thing right now is showing me that He's not calling us, that we all are very, even in a relationship with God, and that we're not, there's not any formula to like how a relationship is supposed to look, or just how, like, you know, we're supposed to follow God or whatever. That, you know, as unique as every one of us are, that's how unique God is in relationships with Him. And just for me, like, I had to, you know, I've felt all the pressure of the way I grew up in the church and stuff, that I had to be a certain way or follow the certain rules. But I've had to strip all that away down to the very bare bones of my faith and just kind of just relearn my faith. And it was very freeing to not feel like I had to fit a mold and just start afresh, and just fresh with feeling that pressure that I had to read the Bible to be a good Christian or whatever. So I had to stop for a while, but like now that I've let go of all those expectations, all the pressure to fit a mold, I am now feel very free and very much crave to read the Bible and hear God in new ways, and just look for ways in everyday life of how He can speak to me. And it's very freeing, it's very refreshing. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Thank you.
Anything without notes. Marsh. It's very different. I'm Lynn Ruark, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the Cornerstone class. The Cornerstone class meets second hour. Can't read my notes. in the East Fellowship Hall. The class is essentially made up of persons in their 60s and 70s, though we have a few octogenarians and beyond. We're a pretty stable group. I went through the oldest class list that I could find, probably about 15 years old, and I noted that about 60% of the people attending the class currently have been part of that class for 15 or more years. We're a growing class. Added about 19 persons, or about 19 persons who currently attend the class regularly have joined the last 15 years, plus there are numerous others who have come and gone for various reasons. Now our class attempts to live out the great commandment, loving God and loving our neighbors. In regard to the loving God, the class emphasizes study of the Bible itself, although on occasion we do topical studies, but usually they stem from a biblical passage rather than a selection of verses. Nothing wrong with that, but in taking various verses, but I'm comfortable with teaching from a passage of the Bible itself. And I've been the primary teacher for 20 years that Marcia and I have been part of the class. My teaching style is interactive. I ask questions and hope that members of the class will answer. And my teaching emphasizes application or response to the biblical message, since most of the people in the class are well versed in the and content of the Bible. And my goal as a teacher is that I and class members will, as a result of studying God's Word, grow in knowledge, faith, love, obedience, and service. In regard to the second commandment, loving your neighbors, I should say that we value diversity. Sandy Wright and I are the token Democrats. And I should point out that Jesus was a Democrat. And in that, I would say, keep in mind that program, he gave away free medical care, and he hung around with prostitutes and press agents. If that's not a Democrat, I don't know what is. More seriously, our class is carrying prayer and support, as well as a burden for those who are lost. We pray tables, and prayer lists are sent to class members weekly and more frequently. We've walked through Phil and Jean with battling Jean's cancer. Lee Evans had suffered a brain aneurysm a few months ago, and we're still in the middle of Doug Caparelli's illness. And as you saw a note in the bulletin today, we're dealing with Gary Haas's cancer, and we expect that we as a class can be of support to them through this. So if you're not already attending a Sunday school class for a place to learn to apply to everyday life, and you want to experience Christian love and support, we encourage you to try the Cornerstone class. Thank you.
Ruark, and I coordinate the church nursery, and I don't always this. This is why I'm not in there this morning, even though we were a little short on staff. We try not to have sick people. On any given Sunday, we have anywhere from 24 to 28 people who are, we have anywhere from 6 to 7 people staffing. That means on a month we have about 24 to 28, and then we have some on our sub list who help out as needed. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate the willingness of each one of these to be part of our nursery ministry. It really is a ministry because it enables the young moms and dads to be able to be part of Sunday school classes and church services where they can be growing. One side note, if you the nursery staff, and I haven't already given you your schedule this morning. Would you be sure and see me afterwards? I've got them for the coming quarter. One thing that we do from the nursery, well, after I'd been coordinating the nursery for a long time, I discovered that one of the ladies in the team builder class has been knitting baby blankets for every baby in the church for a long time, and that's Barbara Van Dyke. And she likes to be able, and they women's ministries, not just Barbara does this women's ministry, provides the materials. But we got to talking and we decided, hey, we would really like to visit the new moms in their homes, to be able to see them and their babies in their homes. So for probably the last 2 years, where's Barbara? Oh, she's not here today, rats. I think it's about the last 2 years that we've been visiting all the new moms, and just as a way to get better acquainted, and then presenting and I just can't tell you how much it has meant to me to have Barbara do that with me. It's become a ministry that we really enjoy. If you are interested in helping in our church nursery, we could still use more people on our substitute list. We can use any young people anywhere from middle school age on up, and we can use fathers, young teenage boys, and so on as well. In fact, we have 2 grandfathers. Well, one grandfather to be, sometime, maybe. Sorry. Peter Busby is our baby whisperer. I mean, if there's a baby that's crying and nobody else can get that baby quieted down, Peter can do it. So we call him the baby. He's been in there for a long time, one Sunday a month. And now Les Swanson does it also, and he's the grandfather. And maybe Peter someday will be a grandpa too. But in the meantime, he's a great baby whisperer. So again, I just want to thank all of you. Where's Mackenzie? I just want to thank all of you for the participation you give and encourage you that this is a ministry that is really needed. Thank you. Oh, and Anna's son Jesse is one of our teen volunteers.
So I suppose, of our Good News Club. Some of you are probably going, what Good News Club? So I'm going to take you back. Remember that we started 5-day clubs in our neighborhood. We had 3 of them going in Harrison Park, the literal park, one over in Cherrywood and one over here at whatever that park is over there next to the Creative Science School. A huge blessing and an answer to prayer to be able to get kind of our foot in the door over there and to be able to minister to the kids over there. So we have been there since probably early October. It was kind of interesting because when we started, we had 6 Asian kindergartners that first day we were 3 parents signed them up, and we had them for about 4 weeks, and then they disappeared. And we had no idea why they disappeared. Stopped coming. Well, I was able to talk to the principal, and it turned out their English classes after school had started, and so we were kind of a substitute. So we kind of mourned their loss, but then on their heels came 3 girls that had very limited church background. Their families in a church, and so it was. Even in this day and age, it was kind of surprising to kids who this was. They didn't know what the Bible was. They didn't know what Christmas was. They didn't know what Easter was. Just things that we kind of take for granted and things that we probably all grew up with, even in our culture, whether we went to church or not. These girls did not know. So it was exciting to be able to work with them and kind of start the groundwork of who Jesus was and why he was important. And so now right now we have 5 girls. I know that doesn't sound like, whoo, a lot, but these are 5 hearts and lives that have previously not known Jesus, and now they are learning about him, and we are their lives. 2 of them we have claimed from the enemy, and we are excited about that, and they are lives whose families we are also impacting. So for us in that, because it's exciting. It's just very exciting to be, there, and I just want to give mention of them. Diane Mitchner, Miriam Tompkins, Keith Moses, Sue Kelly, Jessica Stinson, she's is helping us, Maureen Livermore, and Roberta. Some are helping with the snacks, some are helping us keep connected with people in terms of our prayer requests. But we have different people that come up to the front to work with these kids, and to be able to look in those and see just they're soaking it all in. They've never heard it before. It's just very exciting. So continue to pray for us and be thankful that we have a foot in this community.
So my name's Kate All, and I'm in charge with a team of women ministries. And you can tell that I'm a mom. But one of the things was, we were talking about this, we were trying to dialogue, what is it that really describes women's ministries? And one of the biggest things that we came together in June was we wanted to talk about how we want to be women who gather, equip, and inspire. And it doesn't have to be in that order, but that's what we long to do. We long to really help women make connections. Connect at either the retreat or Bible study, or Debbie Study has a gathering that happens in the summer, and we want there of all ages, not just Deanna Allen had an idea for a clothing swap, and she connected with Lori through that, and there was an idea for a garage sale, and Christina came to that, connected, and then we had this community of people that surrounded her and really loved her and connected with her. And Emily wrote it best. She said, I think the importance of all of this in light of women's ministries is that our focus is on connecting people outside of our own groups. Our job is to listen to the needs around us and facilitate connection and growth. And we long to release who have ideas, and maybe those ideas have been planted there and they thought, no, it's just not a good idea, or nobody really cares about that. We do. We care passionately about those ideas, and we want to take those ideas, pray about them with you, and see them come to fruition. See the Lord release them, because we know that still small voice planted there is for a reason. And so we meet on the third every month in this little room right here, and because it's the only one that's warm in the winter. We meet at 6:45, and we just come and we talk about what the Lord is doing, whether it's a specific place that you're ministering, whether you're thinking about it. We just want you to come, and we want you to roll like you're to be there. You just have to have an idea, or you just have to want to pray with us, or you have to be a woman. Sorry, but that's one specific hard and fast regulations. But we just want you to know that whatever you're thinking, we want to hear. We want to join with you and pray with you and move forward.
Hello, good morning. We're here to talk about Teammates, which happens in January and is just an opportunity to spend some awesome time with your better half and kind of rekindle just the connection between you. It's awesome having you at the coast because there's so much to do. Enjoying walks on the beach and hiking and sunsets. And the nice thing about Teammates is it's not really structured, so you have the chance to either just spend the entire weekend with just the two of you, or actually spend time with other couples that you don't normally get to really connect with. So you do have an opportunity, though, to throw off that Baptist label of yours and actually dance. So something, but yeah, we've been going for years and actually really enjoy just kind of reconnecting and taking that time, since we don't normally take weekend trips just by ourselves. So
I was just going to say, you've never truly lived until you've danced with Debbie Swanson. She's amazing. Makes it worth the whole weekend.
And we're the older couple that got to go to Teammates. So that's what's so great about this. There's young and old, and Fred and I, gosh, we've been going for years. We had to miss a few years, but what's so great about it is Fred and I both work kind of crazy schedules, and so this was just what the doctor ordered. We were able to get away, have a relaxing time. We talked a lot, didn't we? And
Enough said.
And we had wonderful dinners, and we were also able to meet people. We know people here, but, be able to talk to them, get to know them. And so that was wonderful. And yes, we did have a dance. Can really cut our rug. He can. But anyway, I recommend highly if when Teammates comes up next year that you think about going to build your marriage. And I also want to appreciate Kevin and all the wonderful boys that do this for us. It was just a blessing to us, I know. And Fred will tell you why it was such a good blessing for him.
I have to say that a lot of people have been saying, I haven't seen you for a while, and it's so good to have you back here at Sun. I personally, how would I say, if I had walked away from this church and from the Lord for the last couple of years, I've been angry, upset. And in the meantime, God has spoken to me about this body of believers meeting my needs. But what can I do with the needs of the body? And if this had been asked to speak about a month ago, I would say I would not be available. So I would say within this last month, I have just been felt compelled to come back to church and be a part of this body of believers and to renew my faith and renew my commitment to you as the believers and to our marriage.
God does miracles. Here.
I think we might have slides to show here of our Iowa trip, where we took off about 2 weeks ago, and we went to Iowa, to Bethany Farms, to do a construction project. So do we have that?
Now
The pillar of fire. So what you were looking at there was a new facility being created at Bethany Farms to help with the summer camp initially. They call it their dining hall, but it's more of a building, and you could see the steel structure. And what we were doing, we were sent there, or we went there to do some construction. Now the building is roughly the size of our sanctuary here, back to the coffee bar, and the back third of it has been divided into levels. On the bottom, they have their utility room with the furnace and the water heaters and the washing machines and electrical panel, and then they have 2 rooms and a huge kitchen on the other side of the hallway. That is going to be used for the summer camp program. And then on the upper level, they've got a girls' dormitory that's been framed in. They've got 2 rooms, a nursery, and an office. We've got there the roughly did, but there was nothing done on the top floor, and there was no electricity. Now, the people that went were Larry Peterson, who's a electrician, and arrived there with tools that he could carry in his suitcase. Usually electricians show up with a huge service van and all, but what he had, what he could bring. And then we had Dave and Debbie Setti. We had Peter and Tammy Bussey. We had Steve Runyon, myself, and not from our church, but we had Jason Hill. We met about 2 weeks ago at the airport. We took off. We went down there, and we got there on a Saturday, which enabled us to attend their church on Sunday morning. And you probably saw an overview of the campground there. You saw the big barn. Actually, it's not such a big barn, but that has been converted into a plywood floors, a plywood stage, some lights hung from the rafters. But the people that meet there on Sunday, they get about 150 people in there on folding steel chairs, and you can tell they really love each other and they worship the Lord, and we really felt included in their and warm experience to meet these people. Starting, Larry got right to work on the electrical panel, and what we did was get the necessary outlets and lights in place so we could start off with being able to charge the batteries, and as importantly, we could get our going. You got to have priorities in construction jobs like this. We get our coffee pot going, and after we did that, then the ladies just kept showing up with pies and donuts and that sort of thing. But Larry kind of got the ball rolling with the electrical, and he had a couple of not so qualified helpers, and maybe only marginally qualified in that we knew that if we touched that, we could be what Larry did was design a complete system for the whole building, and he was there for days and completed 95% of it, and he left a little bit left for us to do, which we finished off later on. But what he has given them is an electrical service that is going to meet all of their needs and then some. So he did a really good job on that. Then the rest of the crew got to work on the construction of the upper deck. In order to get up there, we had to have a staircase built. So Jason Hibbs spent the first day laptop designing the stairs and the landing that was going to be in between. And we all took off in the evening, went and had supper, and I'll make more mention of the food that we had here in a minute. And after supper, Jason went back to the building, and when we came in the next morning, the stairs and the landing are all on there. So this kid's incredible. He's got a lot more energy than I've had for the last 40 years. So that was a real blessing, because now the crew could go up and down the stairs and really get to work on the framing. So the next day started all the framing, the additional wiring, and then we the insulation stage. You saw all the insulation that was put up. Steve Runyon became an expert on installing insulation. The rest of us pitched in wherever we could, helping finish the upstairs wiring and so on. And then we moved to the lower level, where the open area is, the bottom 2/3 of the building. What it's going to end up with, it's going to that of an interior of a barn. Wood board paneling be much more rustic, so it's going to keep that feel of the rustic farm barn type thing, but the facility that is a house that's been there for years. So now they're going to have a place where they can just move everybody into. They'll be able to plug anything they can think of into that, and they won't be blowing a fuse. I think there's about 38 or 40 different circuits in that facility. So what was really gratifying for me is to share with a group of people. It's incredibly gratifying to be working with God's people, for God's people, and for those that are going to become God's people. Upward potential in that area is really good. The little town nearby is relatively and Casey and Natalie have been making huge strides in that area, and so the vision that has been started there and is growing there is going to continue to grow, and you can only look forward to better things for that whole camp area in the future.
Thank you. You probably missed it when you watched that, all those pictures of Bethany Farms, but I did. I saw it. My hero, Peter Busby in shorts. Peter Busby goes everywhere in shorts, and I've tried to keep up with him, but I don't think I'd wear shorts in Iowa this time. But for those of you who don't know, Natalie Groves is Natalie Setti. And so there is a connection with Dave and Debbie. And with us, proud family here at Montavilla, we're really proud of doing with Casey and Natalie. And they wrote a little note that I'm going to read just to the body of Christ. Natalie and I wanted to express our most sincere thanks to Montavilla and the individuals that came to Iowa to continue the work on our dining hall. Bethany Farm was blessed beyond anything we expected by what was accomplished the week of your visit. We praise God for your gifts, talent, and willing hearts. Your sacrifice of time, money, and energy have put us nearly a month ahead of schedule, which will allow us to use the dining hall for camp this year. We are in awe of the Lord's gracious provision and the love that He has shown us through the people of your church body at Montavilla. On behalf of Bethany Farm, blessing and grace to you. We love you very much, Casey and Natalie Groves.
Yeah, there we go. Good morning. I'm Stephen Price, and my wife Joanna and I and Tim and Lori Depew and their kids had the opportunity to go to Mexico recently on a kind of a short mission trip. I didn't know we could do a slideshow. I have some pictures on my phone. Team picture. Here's we went to, well, I'll just pass it around. But anyway. Yeah, I feel a little left out, but that's okay. We had a really connection was we had a family from Worldview that are Wycliffe missionaries down in Mitla, Mexico, down in the Oaxaca region. And they direct or coordinate this Wycliffe Center where the missionaries, they often come in with their language helpers and do language training and so business meeting. And so you'll be glad to know that we don't do 2-week business meetings at Montavilla, but the missionaries, because for a couple of weeks, and in the time that they're there, obviously they're coming in and they have kids, and you know their kids don't want to sit in a 2-week business meeting. So we were able to provide childcare for them. We did a VBS kind of style program, a spy-themed program. Tim and Lori and their kids, it was just great to have them. Tim grew up in Bolivia as a missionary kid, and so Tim was able really to speak to the hearts of the kids, and Lori is so gifted and talented with kids. And then Joanna and I just had a lot of fun plugging in and teaching and just really helping out. One of the things that surprised me that we did was that we helped with their homeschool, because these families are in and out so much that their schedules with their schooling, their kids can be so inconsistent. And so one of the things that the parents really wanted was that the kids wanted some time. The kids I don't think cared, but the parents really wanted the kids to really plug in and get some homeschool done well. The first 90 minutes of every day, they had school time, then we just had snack and break, and then an older gentleman that just was amazing with the kids, did some music with them, and we did some lessons. In the afternoons, we kind of just had some free time that they could. It's an amazing trip. We were really, really encouraged by the comments that they were just appreciative of the fact that we were there, able to be with their kids and know that their kids were in good hands, and the kids were really enthusiastic. The material that we did and the time with them as well too. So it was great, and it was really sunny, but I shouldn't mention that. But anyway, it was really, really nice and great down there, and we had an amazing time. So thank you for your prayers.
We want to introduce you to those that you'll be voting on for membership. We want to introduce them now. We'll vote later, and then at the end of the service, then you can welcome them. We're going to ask those people to please come forward, and we'll introduce you to them wherever you are. Do you want to read the names?
Sure. So if you're here, if they're not here, we're still voting. Purcell and Thelma Payne, Willis and Ward, and Mark and Debbie McGonagall. So I noticed that some weren't here, so, and there's, Thelma is going to be baptized, so I'm not sure where she's at right now.
Oh, okay. And why don't you, what's your name and your work is, and tell us something a little bit about yourself. How long you been here?
Okay. Well, my name's Dave. My lovely wife, Anna, you met just a minute ago. Last name Lawrence. Got 3 boys. Silas is a senior at George Fox. Ian is a senior at Portland Lutheran. And Jesse is an 8th grader at Portland Lutheran School. We've been here, we were discussing this, we were arguing about it. 5.5 years is what we guessed. And I think we took the new members class about a year after we started, and so it's just taken a little while, some ups and downs, but basically, we talked to Dave Johnson a little bit about this. You know, entering into membership in a local body is a lot like being baptized, taking a public step of commitment to the body, and so that's kind of where we're at. For a living, I'm a forester working for a timber management in downtown Portland, but look at computers more than trees. My wife, she works for the Portland Public School as a talented, gifted tester these days. She also does some proctoring for tests associated with AP, Advanced Placement Tests. That's where we're at.
I think he said it for us.
The others have been around, and well, I don't know where they are right now, but we'll let you go ahead and be seated, and then we're going to later on the whole list, and then we'll be giving the right end of fellowship at the very end. Okay?
So with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and take about a 10 to 15 minute break right now. We'll come back. We'll have a couple baptisms, a video for you, and then a good old business meeting at the end. Cool?
I love the cross. I love the fact that when Jesus died on the cross, it meant we could come before him with boldness. Because when it was torn in two, it gives us this access. It gives us this moment, these moments that we live for. That his presence comes and hovers and we can feel it. Aren't you so thankful, Jesus? Aren't you so thankful? Presence. We love you. We love you. hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. Lamb is overcome. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. The Lamb has overcome. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. The Lamb has overcome. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. The Lamb has overcome. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. The Lamb has overcome. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. Every curse is broken. Every curse is broken. There is healing in this place tonight. Healing for your hearts. We glorify you. We magnify you. King of glory, our King of majesty, we glorify you, we magnify you.
What to say, Lord, it's your life and I can't explain just how much you mean to me now that you have saved me, Lord. I give all that I am to you, that every day I will shine your name. Shine your name. Every day, Lord, I learn to stand upon your word and I pray that I might come to know you more, that you guide me with every single step I take, Lord. Every day I will be a light unto you. Every day, Lord, to you. Oh, every day.
Seated. Sometimes we talk about the word, sometimes we do the word, and this is one of those opportunities because we have our baptisms coming up next. By the way, I just want to make a quick note. If you speak God's language, the Hispanic language, there is a translator that is available. We've been working on it this morning, trying to get it all set up, and we've got it executed. So if you just go to the Montavilla webpage, you can just plug those headphones into your ear, and everything I'm saying is going to be translated for you. So we wanted to make sure that those who speak that language have that available. Well, Jesus was talking about a great celebration, and he started to tell us about the celebration right after the Pharisees started him about the way he was conducting himself. They were hassling him about the people that he was attracting and that he was hanging out with. And just a side note, if we aren't attracting people that Jesus attracted, then maybe something might be wrong. But Jesus actually, when he sees him say this, he tells about a shepherd who was separated from one of his precious sheep. And he leaves the safety and comfort of his own place, and he sets out to find this lost one. He searches and he relentlessly tracks down the sheep. He checks every bush and shrub, and after however many nights of sleeping out on the cold, sore feet, cuts from the bramble and briar, and he finds his precious lost one. And when that connection happens, well, Jesus portrays it this way. The shepherd lays on his shoulder the sheep and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, and he says to them, "Rejoice with me." Jesus then pulls back a corner of the curtain and reveals the party in heaven over a situation like this. Two baptisms illustrate this well, and I hope that the celebration that's taking place in heaven echoes this church, because you had a hand in these stories. Let's watch this first video.
For about a year and a half now. I started in 2013. I was raised in the church. My grandma took me every Sunday. And right around the time I was 15, I started using methamphetamines. And I stopped going to church. When I was 18, I decided that I was going to get clean and I was going to start living my life. Life the way I was supposed to be living it, and I was actually baptized Mormon. That didn't it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. I ended up becoming a practicing pagan for 6 years, and my life continued to spiral. I stayed off drugs for a long time, but then I started using again. I was completely lost. I ended up coming to Portland, leaving California behind and coming to Portland for a couple of months. It was the first time I seen Montavilla Baptist Church. And just driving by, I felt the tugging in my heart like I was supposed to go there. But my timing wasn't right. And I ended up running away to Arkansas for a couple of years. I got clean again. I've been clean and sober for almost 4 years now. I had a son and moved back to Portland. I realized that I couldn't wait to go back to church. In October, and it was cold, and I came in here with my son, and it was like coming home. People that didn't know me, they treated me like I was their sister that they hadn't seen in a couple months. It was like home from college or something. I was a different person. To the church, I have been able to reestablish a family that I for. I've been able to open up about horrible things in my past, and God has carried me through so many tragic events in the last couple of years and has given me this church to help me carry through. When I first started coming here, I was staying in a room at someone's house, and they informed me that if I continued to come to church here at Montavilla, that I couldn't stay there, that me and my son would be homeless. And the decision, it was November that I was moving into my father's house, a homeless shelter for families.
Wow.
In February, I managed to get into an apartment, and thanks to the people of the church, I've been able to make my apartment into a home, and I've been able to make friends, and things have just completely turned around. They're not perfect yet, but I'm making it.
Yeah.
My husband is, he's struggling. He is currently incarcerated in California. I pray for him every He says this time's going to be different and that he's going to go to treatment. And he's promising, and I don't even know. Just keep him in your prayers. I've been really struggling with my identity, who I am. A lot of the almost like camping, Sunday school, and some things that we've been working through. I had someone, and I was crying about on other people, and it's really exhausting. And I was told, Jill told me that maybe I was the answer to her prayers, to the church's prayers, that they needed me to show them, or to let them be a part of community, or bring someone into the community. And I'm baptized again so that I can change my identity, that I can rededicate myself.
And Christina's going to come now. I do need to mention that Thelma was baptized today. There was family complications, scheduling complications, and so we'll put that off for another. But we're going to ask Christina to come at this time. Have you stand just like this. And Christina, have you received Savior? We've heard your testimony. Opportunity to personally respond.
I have.
And it is your desire to follow the Lord in the waters of baptism? Okay. Therefore, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I baptize you in his name. I'd like us to just have a word of prayer. Lord, sometimes some of us have an easy walk in life, and walking with you is so beautiful. There are some that you have taken through very difficult times, times of deep water, times of discouragement, a time of great stress. I thank you for her faith, for those that have loved her, and the love that she has given in return. We thank you for this public commitment. And Lord, we just pray that you'll pour out from the congregation to her, and her to the congregation. And we thank you, God, that gives us a new life. We give you the praise and the glory. Amen.
answer.